Hi guys, today I'm going to be trying on and doing a couple of looks with the new Dior Quint from their Summer 2023 collection, and today it's going to be the Quint Rivage. Now I've already done a video on the other Quint. That one was Eden Rock. I'll just quickly show that one to you as well. In the video with this one, I swatched this one and this one side by side. I won't be doing that today, and I also talked about just some more bits and pieces that you can get in the collection. And again, I won't be talking about that today. If you want to take a look at that, I will put the link to that video up here. So the Rivage Quint has 7 grams of product. It has a shelf life of 6 months from date of opening, just like all the other Dior Quints, and it is made in France. This is quite a soft colour story. I think it does look really summery. I did mention in the video when I was reviewing the Eden Rock one that when I've tried this, and now I've tried it about 3 times, that when I first tried it and I used all the colours, I did find, because all of these are a satin texture, and if you start layering and layering, it can emphasize texture a little bit on your eyes. But I decided to use this again yesterday, and I quite like the look that I did. So what I'm going to do is, for the first look, I am going to use all the shades, and then for the second look, I'll do what I did yesterday. And yesterday I also added some eyeliner as well, and I thought then it looked really, really beautiful. So I've already got all my base products on today. It's not a Dior foundation, it's a Chanel foundation, a reformulated one, and I'm trying it in a different shade. I got a sample of it and I think it actually looks really, really nice. And the bronzer isn't a Dior one either. In my other video when I was reviewing the Eden Rock, I had mainly on Dior products. But yesterday, this is the foundation and the bronzer that I put on, and I thought the final look looked really, really lovely. So the embossing on this Quint has basically gone. If I remember while I'm editing, I think when I first got this, I took a photo of this in natural light. So if I can still find that, and I have it, I will put it up here for you to take a look at. So I will hold this up a bit closer to the camera and just turn down the light in front of me so you can take a good look at it. So before, I had used it a few times and done swatches. There was the really beautiful embossing. It's still there a little bit of Life Preserver, and also the wording of Christian Dior. And as I was saying before, these are all satin shades. So I will swatch this one again on my arm, just so you can see what they're like. I'll just do it like this first, and then I'll hold a bit closer and turn down the lighting. I have picked out, I thought I would be able to find, I haven't got a huge collection of Dior Quints and eyeshadows compared to some other creators, but I do have quite a lot, and I was sure I'd be able to find something very similar. But when I started pulling them out and putting them side by side, I really couldn't find that much. But I have pulled out, I think it's about 3 other Quints, and I will swatch those as well. So I'm going to swatch these from left to right in the Quint, and top to bottom, and the middle shade I will swatch last. So this is the first shade. These do swatch really, really creamy. So this one is a white cream shade, and this one is a gold yellow. So now I'm going to go to the bottom of the Quint, and this one looks quite orange in the Quint, but it's actually more sort of peachy apricot shade. And then we've got a brown shade, and just do that middle shade last. So the middle shade is more of a neutral, whereas this is cooler, and then this is cooler as well, but this is more neutral. So I've pulled out the Quint 629, and this one is Coral Paisley, and I haven't swatched them side by side yet, but I know that this is going to be a lot more pigmented, and this also has those velvet matte shades in it as well. So again, this is left to right and top to bottom. So this one is a satin shade, and actually this one is quite similar to this shade here. This one is slightly deeper. This is a bit more of an apricot. It's quite interesting. When I saw this one by itself, I thought, and I put it on my eye, I thought, oh, this is an apricot peach shade. But I think this one from the Coral Paisley is more so. And now that I've swatched this on my arm, this one is actually a bit more opaque than this one. And this one is a satin shade as well. So then we'll go to this shade here. So again, these two are fairly similar. This one has, I would say this is whiter than this one. This one is more cream. And then we'll take a look at the shade here. So this one is definitely more orange than this one here. And then we'll go to the brown. And there's quite a bit of difference between this one and this one. Also, these two shades are matte. And as I said, this Quint, the Rivage one, is all satins. And lastly, I'll just pull my sleeve back a little bit. This is the middle shade in the Coral Paisley. So I'll just do another swatch. So again, this shade here is completely different to these two here. So really, I think the closest from the Coral Paisley to this one is this shade here, which is similar to this one. And then you've got the lighter shades here. But this one here seems more white than this one here. And then I pulled out the 659, the Mirror, and really I just pulled out for this shade here. So I'm sort of running out of room on my arm a little bit, but I will just swatch this orange shade next to this one here. So we'll just swatch it there. So again, this is a real pumpkin shade. And the last one that I pulled out is Copper. And I'm looking at it now, and really mainly I just pulled it out for this middle shade here. This is a definite cream in here. I can see that just by looking at it. And the brown's going to be a lot deeper than what's in the Rivage Quint. But I thought for this middle shade, for a comparison, so out of the Copper Quint, I will just pop that there. And actually that seems almost identical to this shade here. Possibly this has, it's got a little bit more of a peach in it, but I think actually they are pretty identical. I'm just going to go over that one again. That's interesting. So I don't think any of the other shades in that Copper Quint are going to be similar, but definitely these two are very much alike. And that lighter shade in the Copper Quint, that's also a topper shade as well, so it's a different formula. And I don't even think you can see it unless I really build it up, but it's definitely more of a gold, so it's completely different to the white here. But it is interesting with these two shades here. So I've just turned down the lighting in front of me a bit just so you can take a closer look. So let's get into the first eye look. So I am going to use all the shades. One thing with this Quint, I do wish that there was at least one matte shade in here. Possibly these two here. I'm going to start off with this middle shade. And I'm going to take that over the lid, take it through the crease, and I'm going to take it just slightly above as well. One thing with these shades, I don't know whether I mentioned it in the video when I was doing Eden Rock, is that they're quite powdery. They're not dry in any way. They're quite smooth when I swatch them and I put them on my eye. But there is a bit of kick up in the pan. Then I'm going to take the Rèphr number 14. We'll go into this deeper shade. And I'm going to put this in the outer corner. So because all of these are satins, They do look beautiful, but so now, because I want to deepen up the outer corner, I've just picked up a little bit more. I'm starting to build on top of these shadows, and that's when I find just starts to emphasize the texture, but on my eyes. It's not too bad, and it's not awful, but it's just a little bit different. And I just think that if this had been a matte or the middle shade, then that probably wouldn't happen. And it is quite a nice palette to use all the shades with. So now I'm going to take the Sonia G, this is the pencil one, and go into the shade here. And I normally don't really like tapping shadows very much, but you almost have to with this, because if you can see down here and here, there actually is a little bit of fallout. I will tidy that up in a minute. So I'm just going to run the shade under my lower lash line. And I'll just go in again, and I'm just going to add just a little bit more out here, just to try and get a little bit more depth. Then I'm going to take the Chukahado, this is the F06, and now we'll go into this shade. And I'm just going to be careful, I don't want to get any fallout, and I'm going to put it through here. And I'm just going to tap it on quite carefully. One thing with these shadows though, I've now worn both of the Quints, the Eden Rock 2 or 3 times, and now this one's about the 4th time that I've used it. They do last really well on my eyelids. I don't find that they wear off too easily or anything like that, so they do have really good longevity. Let me take the Sonia G, this is the flat definer, and we'll go into this shade here. And I'm just going to put that through here, and it is quite lovely, this shade, just for lightening the area up. I'm just going to keep it to the very inner corner. I'm going to take the Rèphr number 3, I'm going to go back into the shade here, and I'm going to put a little bit of this on my lower lash line as well, just through here. And then lastly, I've just wiped down this brush, and I'm going to go into the lightest shade here, and I'm just going to put this in the very inner corner. And then I'm just going to go over with this fluffy brush and just soften the edges. If you wanted to put as a highlight on the brow bone, you could use this shade. I don't tend to do that, and because these tend to emphasize texture, I sort of just don't really want to put that shade in that area. So I'm going to put some eyeliner and mascara on in a minute, and once you do that, and that often happens when you add eyeliner and mascara, the whole look just sort of comes to life. But I'm just going to lean in a little bit, and I'll close my eyes, and you can see that it does emphasize my texture. It's not awful, and once I have the eyeliner and mascara on, I do think it is really pretty. But like I said, I just wish that for at least 1, if not 2 of the neutral brown and then the other brown shade, if they had done a matte, and then you're just not adding layer upon layer. So with my eyeliner, I just put a very small amount on my upper lash line and a little bit on the lower lash line as well. And with my mascara, I just did 1 layer of my mascara. I usually do 2 or 3 layers, but I'm going to wash this off in a minute for my second look. So this is look number 1. And I do think that it is really pretty. And if you don't mind your texture being emphasised a little bit, I mean, I don't think it's emphasised a lot, but it is because, as I was saying, they're just all satin shades. And also because in here, especially, you're using the lighter colours. So when it's lighter, it's going to emphasize it even more. But I don't think it's awful at all. I just want to point out to you that if that is a concern for you, that you don't want texture to be emphasized on your eyelids, then maybe you want to stay away from this Quint. So now I'm going to wash this off, and then we'll be back and I will do look number 2. So I've wiped down all my brushes, and I've now got the Rèphr 14, And I'm going to start off with this shade. So instead of putting one shade all the way over to begin with, like I did with the shade, I'm going to start with the darkest. And I am going to put this one in the outer corner, just like last time. And then with the Synergy, the pencil one, stay with that shade. And I'm going to use that on my lower lash line again. Then we'll take my Rèphr brush and go into the shade. So again, I'm just in it like the last eyeshadow look, but I'm just not layering the shades. I probably will a little bit in a corner, or I might place the shade maybe over the top of the shade here using my finger and just see what that looks like. So I'm just going to go in very lightly with my finger and just go over the top of that shade. Then I'm just going to take one of the applicators that come with the Quint and go into the shade here, and I'm going to put a little bit of this in the inner corner. And I think I'll run this through here as well. And I'm just going back with the Synergy, the pencil one, and I just want to see if I can just add a little bit of depth just to that outer corner. And for the first eye look, I used a Chanel eyeliner, but now I'm going to use a Victoria Beckham Beauty one. This is in the shade Cocoa, because when I used this yesterday when I was trying this out, it gives a thicker line on the upper lash line, and then I just smudge it out, and I thought that looked really, really nice. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I prefer this eye look to the other one that I did. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. And one is the eyeliner. This Victoria Beckham Beauty one is buttery smooth, and it also smudges out beautifully. And I use the smudger with this when I use this eyeliner quite a lot. And it helps give much more depth to the eye look, and it helps the other shades pop as well. So I think that's one of the reasons. It's the eyeliner. The other one is because I didn't layer all the shades like I did with the first eye look. So with the first eye look, I'm just going to grab the Quint. I'll just take out those brushes again. I started off with this one and then just kept adding the layers. Now in this part through here, I did the shade first, and then I went over top with this white shade, and I was layering it. But with this shade, using my finger, I'm sure it helps sort of meld the eyeshadow just that much better into my eyelid. And I don't think the texture is as emphasized, and I think this just looks like any other of the good eyeshadow palettes that I have. So I'm just going to close my eyes so you can take a better look. But I think this is really, really pretty. So now I'm going to put on some blush, and I'm going to use, I used this yesterday when I did this eye look, when I was playing around. And this is from the Dior, this is from the holiday edition, the coral one. And just got my Rèphr brush. And I thought this looked really lovely with the eye look. I think this is a beautiful coloured blush. And for lipstick, I'm just going to keep it very light. I'm going to use one of the new Dior Lip Maximizers. And I'm just having a look at the shade. This is 004. In the new collection, I think they have a tangerine shade. I really like these. I think that they are really comfortable on the lips, and I don't mind that plumping effect that I have. Sometimes before I start my makeup, I'll just put a layer of this on, and then later on I'll put on the final lipstick that I'm going to use. So you can just use them initially just to get that plumping effect if you want, or it's the last step as I'm doing, and just to have a little bit of colour with some gloss. But I think these are really, really lovely. So here is the final look, and just like yesterday, because I used the same lip maximizer and the blush and the eyeliner as well, I think this is really, really lovely. Now, when I first tried this Quint for the first time, and I just kept layering the shades using all the 5 different shades in the Quint, I did think I was a little bit disappointed because it emphasized the texture. But when I use it like I did for my second eye look, I think this is beautiful, and I think it's a really gorgeous color story. I think both Quints are lovely. The other one with the blue shade in it, Eden Rock, is really gorgeous, but this is really beautiful too. And as I was showing you with my swatches earlier in the video, apart from a couple of shades, well, with the other Quints that I have in my collection anyway, I couldn't really find anything too similar. So I'm really pleased that I did get both of these Quints, and now that I've figured out how to use this and doesn't emphasize the texture on my eyelids, I just think it's really, really lovely. And the blush is just beautiful. This one that Dior put out for the holidays last year, it is really gorgeous, and I think it goes really well with this eye look. And even once I've got eyeliner on and then mascara, and that makes the eye look pop, once you add the blush and a lipstick, or even though the lip maximizer is only very subtle, it just brings the whole look together, and I just think that it looks really, really lovely. So that's it for today's video. I'd love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.